Introduction. Welcome to the Regional Municipality of York, Paramedic and Seniors Services. We are part of the Community and Health Services Department, which provides services to support individuals in our community. Some of these services include paramedic and seniors services, social services, housing services and public health. We operate 2 long-term care homes which provide residential, respite, and convalescent care. 1 Newmarket Health Center, NHC, 194 Eagle Street, Newmarket. 2 Maple Health Center, MHC, 10424 Keel Street, Maple. Residential, this program places special emphasis on meeting the needs of the difficult-to-serve/hard to place clients with heavy, complex physical and/or cognitive/behavioral care requirements. Convalescent Care Program offers intensive rehabilitation services to people who need additional time to recover strength, functioning and independence following illness or injury. Short Stay/Respite provides 24/7 support for caregivers living in the community, providing care to their loved ones so they can take a vacation or get an extended break from their caregiving duties. Available for overnight, weeks or months depending on the individual client. NHC, 132 beds, 19 convalescent beds, 3 respite beds, 1 secured. MHC, 98 beds total, 15 convalescent beds, 3 respite beds, 1 secured. In addition, we have adult day programs, ADP, that provide a variety of mentally and physically stimulating activities every day in a secure environment. Our staff gives people an opportunity to socialize and offer caregivers support and respite. Currently our programs are offered at 1 Keswick Gardens, 43 The Queensway North, Georgina. 2 Maple Health Center, 10424 Keel Street, Maple. To be referred to the ADP, an individual or caregiver must call Home and Community Care, formerly CCAC. Our mission statement: to promote the health, well-being, safety and independence of our residents. Our values: respect, accountability, compassion, caring. Purpose: the purpose of this guide is to provide staff with an orientation to prepare them to work in our long-term care homes. All of our policies are in hard copy and are available at each unit in our homes. 7 Confidentiality and Fapa: maintaining the privacy of our residents is important to us and is guaranteed by law in 2 acts, Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, RSO 1990, and the Personal Health Information Protection of Privacy Act, 2004. As you will have access to personal information and personal health information as defined by the acts, you must understand how this information is protected. Definition: personal health information. Information regarding a person's diagnoses, health card number, medical history, family medical history, personal care needs and dietary needs. This information should only be shared or discussed with the resident, their substitute decision maker, SDM, or individuals that the resident or SDM has given you consent to share with. The 10 Principles of the Personal Health Information Protection of Privacy Act, 2004 are: Principle 1, accountability for personal health information. Principle 2, identifying purposes for collecting personal health information. Principle 3, consent for collection, use, and disclosure. Principle 4, limiting collection of personal health information. Principle 5, limiting use, disclosure, and retention of personal health information. Principle 6, accuracy of personal health information. Principle 7, safeguards for personal health information. Principle 8, openness about information practices. Principle 9, individual access to personal health information. Principle 10, challenging compliance with information practices. To be completed Surge Elearning, Fapa LTC training. Please sign the attached confidentiality agreement sent to you by SS Education. 8. The Bill of Rights. We are held accountable by law to follow the Long-Term Care Homes Act, 2007, LCHA. It contains a Residents' Bill of Rights. The purpose of this bill is to ensure that long-term care homes are truly homes for the people who live in them. There are 27 rights. Residents have the right to 1. Be treated with courtesy, respect, and dignity. 2. Be protected from abuse. 3. Not to be neglected. 4. Be properly cared for according to their needs. 5. Live in a safe, clean environment. 6. Exercise the rights of a citizen. 7. Be told who is providing their care. 8. Privacy in treatment and care. 9. Have decision-making respected. 10. Keep and display personal belongings. 11a. Participate fully in plan of care. B. Give or refuse consent to care or services. C. Participate in decisions concerning any aspect of care including where to live. D. Have personal health information kept confidential. 12. Maximize their independence. 13. Not be restrained, exceptions under the Act. 14. Communicate in confidence and receive visitors of choice. 15. Have family and friends present if dying or ill. 16. Designate a person to receive information. 17. Raise concerns or recommend changes without reprisal or coercion. 18. Form friends, relationships, participate in life of home. 19. Have lifestyle choices respected. 20. Participate in residence council. 21. Meet privately with spouse. 22. Share a room if mutually agreed and available. 23. Pursue interests and to be given reasonable assistance. 24. Be informed of changes to services and the procedure for initiating complaints. 25. Manage financial affairs if legally able. 26. Be given access to protected areas outside. 27. Have anyone they want to attend their meetings. 9. Respect in the workplace. As an organization we are committed to resident-centered care. This means following the Residents' Bill of Rights. Respect and dignity are the rights guaranteed for our residents. Consider the following statements. They were compiled from a staff survey and reflect what they considered to be respectful and disrespectful behaviors. Respect is treating people the way you would like to be treated. Considering another person's feelings, needs, beliefs, and personality, and treat them in a courteous and understanding way. Asking permission to enter a resident's room. Listening and acknowledging a person. Treating all internal and external customers with dignity, empathy, and professionally. Supporting residents' right to choose. Helping the resident to feel at home because this is their home. Conveyed by not only what you say or do, but how you say it or do it. The key for good relationships in our life. Disrespect is not combing a resident's hair. Leaving a door open during care. Speaking over a resident during care. Doing care at them instead of with them. Not taking their requests or concerns seriously, not following through. Talking out loud about their condition, BM etc. Gossiping. Ignoring call bells. Saying you are too busy or that you have to go on break. Ignoring the resident. Speaking at a resident instead of with them. Not making eye contact. Assuming you know what resident wants, i.e., assuming they like cartoons. Not telling the resident who you are. Pushing their wheelchair without telling them. Disrespectful behaviors can be interpreted as abusive behaviors. Remember, respect should be extended to coworkers, family, volunteers, and visitors. 10. Zero tolerance of abuse. Long-term care homes are required to protect residents from abuse by anyone and neglect by staff. LCHA S19, I. At the Region of York, we ensure the protection of our residents with our policy of zero tolerance of abuse and neglect policy. Abuse definition: any action or deliberate inaction by a person in a position of trust and/or authority which causes harm to an older person is considered to be abuse. Trust is critical because the resident is in a vulnerable position. The healthcare provider is in a position of power. Definitions and examples. 1. Physical abuse: any act of violence or rough handling that may or may not result in physical injury but causes physical discomfort or pain. Examples: Administering or withholding a drug for an inappropriate purpose, the use of physical force by a resident that causes physical injury to another resident, pushing, shoving, hitting, slapping, poking, pulling hair, biting, pinching, confining or restraining a person, unusual patterns of injuries, unexplained injuries such as broken bones, bruises, bumps, cuts, burns, welts, grip marks. Physical abuse does not include the use of force that is appropriate to the provision of care or assisting a resident with activities of daily living, unless the force used is excessive in the circumstances, OREG 79/10, S.2, 2. Sexual abuse, any sexual behavior directed toward a resident older adult without that person's full knowledge and consent. Examples: unwanted touching, making sexual remarks or suggestions to another person, forcing a person to touch another person in the genital area, forcing a person to perform a sexual act, forced intercourse. Sexual abuse does not include touching, behavior or remarks of a clinical nature that are appropriate to the provision of care or assisting a resident with activities of daily living, or consensual touching, behavior or remarks of a sexual nature between a resident and a licensee or staff member that is in the course of a sexual relationship that began before the 11 resident was admitted to the long-term care home or before the licensee or staff member became a licensee or staff member, O.Reg 79/10 S.2, 3. 3. Emotional/psychological abuse, any action, verbal or nonverbal, that lessens a person's sense of identity, dignity, and self-worth. Examples: words or actions which put a person down, are hurtful or make a person feel unworthy. Not considering a person's wishes. Treating an older person like a child. Threatening, insulting, intimidating, or humiliating gestures, actions, behavior or remarks. Imposed social isolation, shunning, ignoring, lack of acknowledgement or infantilization that are performed by anyone other than a resident. Threatening or intimidating gestures, actions, behavior, or remarks by a resident that causes alarm or fear to another resident where the resident performing the gestures, actions, behavior, or remarks understands and appreciates their consequences. 4. Verbal abuse, any form of communication, which demonstrates disrespect for the resident. Examples: swearing, name-calling, cultural or racial slurs, threats or insults, shouting. 5. Financial abuse, any improper conduct, done with or without the informed consent of the older adult, that results in a monetary or personal gain to the abuser and/or monetary or personal loss for the older adult. We prevent abuse by promoting a culture of zero tolerance. Screening, all staff must have vulnerable persons screening and sign an undertaking form that they will inform the region of any criminal charges that occur after the screening. Training, annual review of the zero tolerance of abuse and neglect. If you witness or suspect abuse, remove the abuser and the abused. Assess the abused for any injury and health status. Report to the Director of Care. Follow critical incident procedures. You are protected under Whistleblower Protection Long-Term Care Homes Act, 2007 S.26, 1. 12. Critical incidents. All staff must immediately notify their supervisor of reportable critical incidents. Critical incidents would include an emergency situation, unexpected/sudden death, missing/unaccounted for controlled substance medication incident requiring hospitalization, injury requiring hospitalization, resident missing 3+ hours, resident returning to the home with an injury or adverse change in condition, outbreak of a reportable disease, environmental hazard, contamination of drinking supply. The following events require mandatory reporting: improper/incompetent treatment or care of a resident resulting in harm or risk to the resident, abuse of a resident by anyone or neglect of a resident by anyone in the home, unlawful conduct that resulted in harm to a resident, misuse or misappropriation of a resident's money, misuse or misappropriation of funding provided to the home under the Long-Term Care Homes Act, 2007. Registered staff must notify the Director of Care in all cases involving mandatory reporting. Complaints. At the Region of York, all complaints are taken seriously and are seen as opportunities for improvement. The attached form is used to document any complaints you may receive. The information supplied on the form helps in the process of handling a complaint. Appendix B. Be sure to follow the respect guidelines in the previous discussion when dealing with any individual making a complaint. 13 Responsive behaviors. In the past, behaviors exhibited by residents that were not appropriate were labeled as challenging, difficult or aggressive. These labels suggested that the resident was able to control the behaviors. We have chosen to label the behaviors as responsive to remind all dementia team members that behaviors typically seen in dementia are almost always in response to something in the resident's environment. Types of responsive behaviors: restlessness, agitation, disinhibition, sleep disturbances, pacing, wandering, verbal outbursts, physical outbursts. Aggressive behavior is best understood as a responsive behavior to exert control or to protect or defend oneself. Tallarico and Evans, 2000. We are all thinking, feeling beings, and our behaviors are directly related to what we are thinking, our cognitive state, and feeling, our affective state, at any given time. This can be described as A plus C equals B, affect state plus cognitive state equals behaviors. Our behaviors are the result of the way our brains process information. It involves S. Sensation, external stimuli, and is an unconscious reaction. P. Perception, our internal perception of external world. E. Emotion, automatic and is intertwined with memories, good or bad. E. Evaluation, judgment, reasoning, insight, foresight. D. Demonstrated behavior, the result of the information process. Example: a person with dementia may process seeing someone sweeping the floor near them as follows. Sensation, sees person sweeping the floor. Perception, someone is coming after me. Emotion, fear. I was hit as a child. Evaluation, I have to protect myself. Demonstrated behavior, hits the person sweeping the floor. 14 Triggers. Triggers for responsive behaviors can be resident, environmental and staff factors. Resident factors include illness, medication, cognitive impairment, losses they have experienced, their life history, or if they are experiencing a delirium. Environmental factors that can trigger responsive behaviors can be noise levels, lighting, temperature, over or under stimulation. Staff can also create factors by their approach with a client, the relationship between staff and clients, or trying to maintain rigid routines. Recognize the signs of impending responsive behaviors: pacing, restlessness, sarcasm, swearing, increased loudness, rigid posture, gripping arm rests, bed rails, clenched fists. Interventions. Effective interventions occur when staff identify the factors causing the behavior and change the triggers of that behavior. When a resident starts to exhibit a responsive behavior, you should S. Stop what you are doing. T. Think about why the resident is behaving this way. O. Observe and acknowledge the resident's emotions. P. Plan the next steps. The following are interventions that you should consider, and remember that you can always consult with your team in the huddle. Identify triggers, adjust care approach, avoid challenging or arguing. Validate person's feelings, share approach that works well with team, use simple instructions, offer cues, interdisciplinary team approach, slow down, establish trust at every contact, learn about the resident's personal history. Remember, in a person with dementia the cognitive piece is damaged, but emotions are still very much active even as the person is taking their last breath. 15 Infection prevention and control, IPAC. Prevention. Infection prevention and control is everyone's responsibility. In the following diagram, breaking the chain of transmission, the 6 links can be described as follows. Infectious agents are germs, viruses, bacteria, fungi, or parasites. A source can be a person, an animal, water, or food. Portal of exit is how infectious agents can exit a body: through the skin, the respiratory tract, Urinary or gastrointestinal tract modes of transmission are contact, touching contaminated surfaces or objects, droplets or airborne, from respiratory secretions, or parenteral, which is entering through skin such as contaminated needles. Infectious agents can also be transmitted in a common source, for example contaminated food or water. Portal of entry is how infectious agents enter the body, through a break in the skin, mouth, or nose. The susceptible host is an individual that could have the following risk factors: very young or elderly, immunocompromised, recovering from surgery, unhealthy lifestyle. The diagram shows how the chain can be broken at every link using proper hand hygiene, personal protective equipment, cleaning and disinfecting, keeping ourselves healthy. 16. Hand hygiene. Follow the 4 moments of hand hygiene: before initial resident/resident environment contact, before aseptic procedure, after body fluid exposure risk, after resident/resident environment contact. Hand care. Keep nails short, only freshly applied nail polish, less than 4 days. No artificial nails, rings and bracelets should not be worn by those with direct contact with a resident. Smooth wedding bands only, as other jewelry harbors germs. Keep hands healthy by applying moisturizer regularly. Routine practices. Routine practices assumes that blood and body fluid of any resident could be infectious. The type of personal protective equipment, PPE, required will be determined by the infectious agent and the type of interaction with the resident. Under routine practices, gloves should be used when touching or risk of touching blood, body fluids, secretions, excretions, or contaminated items, and for touching mucous membranes and non-intact skin. A gown should be used during procedures and resident care activities when contact of clothing and/or exposed skin with blood, body fluids, secretions or excretions is anticipated. Aprons are sometimes used as PPE over scrubs. Masks and goggles would also be used for additional precautions. You will be given quick reference cards, QRC, to refer to on PPE needs and proper order of PPE removal. 17. Test your knowledge. Please answer the following questions. 1. For an infection to occur, all 6 links of the chain of transmission need to be satisfied. TF2 antibacterial soap is preferred over regular soap for everyday hand washing. TF3 hand sanitizers are an alternative to washing hands with soap and water if hands are visibly soiled. TF4 hand sanitizers must contain 40 to 60% alcohol to be effective. TF5 remove jewelry such as rings and watch before performing hand hygiene. TF6 when removing gloves, use the glove to skin, skin to glove technique. TF7 gloves replace hand washing, so there is no need to wash hands after removing gloves. TF8 cleaning must be the first step before disinfection. TF, when complete, you may find answers in Appendix C. 18. Minimizing restraints. According to the Resident's Bill of Rights, every resident has the right not to be restrained, except in the limited circumstances provided for under this Act and subject to the requirements provided for under this Act. We are faced with the challenge of balancing the safety of our residents with their freedom and independence. To meet this challenge, our goal is to provide a least restraint environment, so the application of a restraint is a last resort when the resident is specifically shown to pose a danger to themselves or others. Explore alternative interventions with the multidisciplinary team before a restraint is used. Definitions. Physical restraint limits movement. Cannot be removed by the resident for either physical or cognitive reasons, is not used to assist in an activity of daily living, but instead the effect is to restrain. Personal assistance service device, PASD, limits movement, i.e., it restrains, cannot be removed by the resident for either physical or cognitive reasons, is used for an activity of daily living for a specific amount of time. Device, is an aid that assists the resident and does not limit movement, or can be removed by resident. Note, it is not the piece of equipment that defines whether it is a physical restraint, a personal assistance device, or a device. It is how that equipment will be used. For example, for one resident a lap belt may be a restraint and for another it is a device. Use of restraints must meet the following requirements according to the Long-Term Care Homes Act 2007 and our least restraint policy. Significant risk to resident or others without restraint alternatives have been considered and documented. Physician order obtained consent obtained from resident and/or SDM must be documented in care plan used for shortest time necessary, not implemented as a convenience for staff, not implemented as discipline. We take an interdisciplinary approach to all of our resident care programs. The Huddle and the Least Restraint team are key collaborators in this program. 19 Huddle, informal multidisciplinary group staff who know the resident, discuss issues and possible interventions for a resident, send referrals to any other discipline. Least Restraint team, LRT, formal, multidisciplinary group in each home responsible for data analysis and evaluation, responsible for determining the need for PASD or restraint. Risks if a restraint is not used: falls, injuries, aggression to self or others. Risks if a restraint is used: falls, strangulation, loss of bone and muscle mass, pressure sores, incontinence, constipation, contract ears, rightward arrow, muscle atrophy, decreased mobility / independence, agitation / frustration, loss of dignity / awareness / autonomy, depression / delirium, physical aggression to self / others. Considering the extensive list of risks identified with using restraints, it is clear that alternatives can be as successful and will reduce risks to the resident. Some alternative interventions are: increased family / volunteer involvement, increased toileting or toileting routine, personal protective equipment, environmental modifications, medication changes, diversions, activities, TV, radio, puzzles, increased monitoring, physiotherapy or occupational therapy, seating assessment, restorative care, additional snacks, safety devices, bed or chair alarm, high/low bed, footwear evaluation. 20. Test your knowledge. Please answer the following questions. Consider the following and decide if the equipment used is a restraint, a personal assistance device, PASD, or a device. 1. Resident B has bed rails to allow him to watch TV safely without falling out of bed, therefore bed rails are considered a restraint. B, PASD. Device. 2. Resident C has bed rails in place to prevent her from getting out of bed unassisted, therefore bed rails are considered a restraint. B, PASD. C, device. 3. Resident A is cognitively impaired, has difficulty standing and walking and is at risk of falling. She currently has a lap belt that she is unable to undo, so she is unable to rise from her wheelchair. Because the effect of the lap belt is to restrict her movement and keep her from getting out of the wheelchair unassisted, it is considered a restraint. B, PASD. Device. 4. Resident B is not cognitively impaired but is immobile. He can undo a lap belt. He uses a lap belt to assist with positioning when he is in the wheelchair. This would be considered a restraint. B, PASD. Device. When complete, you may find answers in Appendix C. 21. Pleasurable dining. What is pleasurable dining? Pleasurable dining is about preserving our residents' dignity, identity, and connections with family and culture while accommodating his or her changing needs. Pleasurable dining is about respecting the individual resident needs. It is about nourishing the mind, spirit as well as the body. It is a meaningful activity, offers a sensory and social stimulation, pleasure, and autonomy. What is required in the Long-Term Care Homes Act, 2007? Section 73. 1. Every licensee of a long-term care home shall ensure that the home has a dining and snack service that includes, at a minimum, the following elements. Communication of the 7-day and daily menus to residents. Meal service in a congregate dining setting unless a resident's assessed needs indicate otherwise. Monitoring by registered staff of all residents during meals. A process to ensure that food service workers and other staff assisting residents are aware of the residents' diets, special needs and preferences. Food and fluids being served at a temperature that is both safe and palatable to the residents. Sufficient time for every resident to eat at his or her own pace. Course by course service of meals for each resident, unless otherwise indicated by the resident. or by the resident's assessed needs. Providing residents with any eating aids, assistive devices, personal assistance and encouragement required to safely eat and drink as comfortably and independently as possible. Proper techniques to assist residents with eating, including safe positioning of residents who require assistance, appropriate furnishings and equipment in resident dining areas, including comfortable dining room chairs and dining room tables at an appropriate height to meet the needs of all residents, and appropriate seating for staff that are assisting residents to eat. The licensee shall ensure that no person simultaneously assists more than 2 residents who need total assistance with eating or drinking. No resident who requires assistance with eating or drinking is served a meal until someone is available to provide the assistance required by the resident. 22. Hydration Program. The goal of the hydration program is to minimize the risk of dehydration for any resident. A predetermined amount of fluid is provided at each meal and snack time. The basic fluid monitoring question in point of care, POC, is: did the resident consume more than 50% of the fluids provided? Answer options are yes or no. Basic fluid monitoring 1. If a resident has no recorded 6 times in 3 consecutive days, a poor fluid intake alert will appear in POC. 2. If there is decreased fluid intake in the last 3 days, registered staff should assess and complete the dehydration risk assessment and, if appropriate, complete a referral to the dietary supervisor. 3. Supervisor, Food Services will review the referral and initiate a hydration program of 250 ml juice at a snack and 250 ml Jello at PM snack. Thickened juice and applesauce respectively if resident is on thickened fluids. 4. On the next visit, registered dietitian, RD, will assess the resident, assess the need for the hydration program and initiate enhanced fluid monitoring if necessary. Enhanced fluid monitoring. 1. In POC, the fluid monitoring question will require the amount of fluid consumed in milliliters instead of basic yes/no answers. 2. The RD will initiate a monthly hydration risk assessment requirement of registered staff. 3. Registered staff will review total fluid intake each night. 4. Registered staff will complete the hydration risk assessment monthly or more often if deemed necessary. RD will be alerted if there is any significant change or continued decline. 5. The RD will post a blue jug poster on the entrance of the residents' rooms and make the resident list available on point-click care. 6. Supervisors will add a blue jug picture on the seating plans to inform staff in dining room. 7. The RD will monitor and assess resident on enhanced fluid monitoring at least monthly or as needed. 23. Fire safety and procedures. Our homes have a high-quality fire alarm system, sprinklers in resident areas, fire-rated doors and building materials. The homes have a 2-stage emergency alarm system. Stage 1, code red alarm will sound for the following reasons: smoke detector is tripped, heat detector is tripped, manual pulling of a fire alarm in the building. All staff must respond as follows. All resident, visitors, and staff must be moved out of the fire zone. All available staff report to the fire location. If it is not safe to get to those locations, then try going another way. If not possible, exit the building. If you find the fire on your way to your designated area, remove all persons in danger. And announce the fire location if there is a fire or a fire alarm sounding in the building, whether it is on a resident home area or not. It must be responded to by calling 911 and announcing the fire location to the building. The entire zone must be evacuated. The following will automatically happen when the fire alarm sounds. An alert will appear on all the fire annunciator panels throughout the building if the fire alarm went off because of smoke or heat. A flashing light will appear outside of the room where the alarm was set off. A signal will be sent to the fire monitoring company. They will also notify the fire department of the fire alarm. The fire zone separation doors will close and the magnetic locks for all doors will release. The photos below show what a fire door and magnetic locks look like in our home and how zones are identified. 24. Stage 2, Code green sounds different from the usual fire alarm set manually when required by the charge nurse or senior management set on advice of fire department. Further evacuation must occur. If you discover a fire, only do something if it is safe to do so. Remove persons in danger if the fire is in a room. Ensure door closed when leaving the room. When the room is checked, mark vacant by positioning the fire tag in the vacant position. See photo below. Pull the nearest fire pull station if it is not already sounding an alarm. Alert other staff where the fire is located and that their help is needed. Fire tags. Room not checked, room checked and is vacant. 25 Charge nurse, fire control officer. The fire control officer is the second floor, at MHC/third floor, at NHC, charge nurse in the home and is responsible for the building when the fire alarm sounds. The fire control officer will receive support and guidance from emergency personnel and all senior management persons on site at the time the fire alarm sounds. 1. Locate the fire. 2. Call 89113. Put on the yellow vest. 4. Ensure code red with the location is announced 3 times over the paging system. 5. Ensure at least one staff member is on each floor to monitor resident safety. 6. Guide the evacuation of people from the building. 7. Ensure all residents in the building are escorted outside of the fire zone to a safe location. 8. Complete a head count to account for all residents, visitors, staff, and volunteers. 9. Reset the fire panel and announce code red, all clear 3 times, as required. Fire wardens, home area. Each resident floor will have a fire warden assigned at the beginning of the shift and the name will be written in the nursing assignment book. If for any reason, the person must leave the floor, another person must be assigned to be the fire warden during their absence. Upon hearing the fire alarm, go the nurse's station on your floor, looking for a flashing light outside a resident's room as you go. If you see it, check the room for fire. See what to do if you discover a fire. If you do not see a flashing light, continue to go to the nurse's station and check the fire annunciator panel. If the fire is on your floor, 1. Locate the fire. 2. Help evacuate residents, volunteers, and visitors out of the fire zone. 3. Direct staff helping with the evacuation. 4. Make sure all evacuated rooms are closed and marked vacant. 5. Ensure a head count is completed. If the fire is not on your floor, 1. Direct all available staff to the fire zone to assist with evacuations. 2. Ensure at least one staff member remains on the floor. 3. Help evacuate residents and others out of the fire zone. 4. Make sure all evacuated rooms are closed and marked vacant. 26 Fire wardens, nursing, each floor, environmental services, team leads and food services supervisors. 1. Put on the orange vest. 2. Evacuate persons in the loading area and ensure the doors in these areas are closed and marked vacant with the door markers. Receiving areas, staff lounge, staff locker rooms and maintenance area, loading dock area, at rear of building. 3. Make sure all staff remain against the wall and quiet to hear the announcements. 4. Wait for further direction. Fire wardens, administrative assistant to the administrator. 1. Put on the orange vest. 2. Evacuate the LTC administrative staff office areas to the closest lobby area and ensure the doors are closed and marked vacant with the door markers. 3. Report to the main lobby and ensure staff are lined up against the wall and remain quiet so as to hear announcements. 4. Prevent other persons from entering the building with the exception of emergency personnel. Anyone wishing to exit the building must be allowed to exit. 5. Ensure the fire laneway is clear. 6. Inform the receptionist if vehicles cannot be removed immediately and they will use the paging system to alert the owner. Runners. 1. Locate the fire. 2. Put on the white vest. 3. Get key for the elevator for Maple Health Center. Key is on the white vest, 2nd floor. For Newmarket Health Center, key is located at the nursing station, on the side of the bookshelf, 3rd floor. 4. Lock elevator on service. 5. Allow firefighters entrance to the building and escort them to the fire's location. 27 Fire safety roles. Specific role in the home. Reception. Keep phones clear in order to receive any incoming call from emergency services. Use PA to announce if required by fire warden/fire control officer administrator. Report to fire location to supervise/assist fire control officer. Discuss situation with emergency personnel. Set up command post if required. Administrator's assistant, fire warden for administrative area and front lobby. Keep staff silent in lobby. Ensure volunteers/visitors remain where they are and keep entranceways and open spaces clear. Check for vehicles in fire lane, move them away if possible. Advise receptionist to announce if the owner must be summoned to move the vehicle. Nursing managers, DOC, ASOC. Report to fire location. Help to remove a resident. Support/production services manager, activation supervisor. Report to fire warden of area assigned, assist, or direct as required. Maintenance staff. During a drill, roles as assigned. If not a drill, during the day, report to the fire warden on that floor. During the evening/night, report to the fire warden of the fire location. Food services supervisor/environmental team leads, if fire warden, specific role. If not a fire warden, see dietary staff/nursing clerk/environmental staff below. Food services staff/environmental staff. All available staff report to fire location to help remove residents. Scheduling clerks and supervisor. If fire in not in your zone, remain in office and continue to work. If fire is in your zone, leave fire zone and make room vacant. Administration staff. If fire in not in your zone, remain in office and continue to work. If fire is in your zone, leave fire zone and make room vacant. Students. Follow the directions of the staff/department assigned to OEG activation. Student would remain with residents if not in the fire zone. If in the fire zone, exit with as many residents as possible beyond the fire doors. Direct care staff. If no other assigned role for that shift, then, if in the fire zone area, begin immediate evacuation of residents/others beyond the first set of fire doors. If not in the fire zone, keep residents calm and comfortable. 28 Fire safety roles, non-specific. No specific role in the home. All seniors community program staff. Wait for all clear or code green or other directions. Adult day program, Maple. Wait for all clear or code green or other directions. Hairdresser. Wait for further direction unless in the fire zone. If they are with residents, they should wait with the residents for further direction, or if in the fire zone should exit with as many residents as possible. Contracted staff, e.g. physio, wait for further direction unless in the fire zone. If they are with residents, they should wait with the resident for further direction, or if in the fire zone should exit with the resident. BOQA staff. Wait for further direction, or if in fire zone, exit through the nearest fire exits. Volunteers. Wait for further direction unless in the fire zone. If they are with residents, they should wait with the resident for further direction, or if in the fire zone should exit with the residents. Family members. Wait for further direction unless in the fire zone. If they are with residents, they should wait with the resident for further direction, or if in the fire zone should exit with the resident. 29 Test your knowledge. Please answer the following questions. 1. Each LTC staff has a specific role to play and must know what that role is at the beginning of each shift. TF2. If you find a small fire, you can put it out. TF3. Everyone should start to move when the fire alarm goes. TF4. If you are in a home area when the alarm sounds, report to the nursing station of that area to determine what zone the fire is in. TF5. If you are assigned to a home area, and are away from it for any reason, get back to it using the stairs. TF6. If not assigned to a home area, then the day shift * must congregate in assigned waiting area for further instruction. Any evening and night shift should report to fire warden at the fire location. TF7. If you find a fire, use your portable phone, if you have one, to announce to the building where the fire is. TF8 If you don't have a portable phone, make sure someone else announces the exact location. TF9 Portable phones can switch to a public address system by pressing number 9 down. TF10 When finished speaking on a portable phone, press end call so the call will be announced. TF11 Staff have 3 minutes to find a fire and evacuate the room, if the fire is in a room, and close the windows and doors. TF12 If the fire is in a corridor open space without a door, we have 13 minutes to evacuate residents to safety. TF13 If you are outside the building when the alarm sounds, do not re-enter the building. Unless specifically told to do so by emergency personnel or on the direction of the fire control officer. TF14 Move calmly and as quickly as possible, but do not run. TF When complete, you may find answers in Appendix C. 30 Back care, transfers, and neoprene seat cushion, Rojo. 3132. 3334. 3536. 37 Reference material. Security pictures and identification card. To get your picture taken you must go to 17250 Yonge Street and have your picture taken by security. Located in underground parking. There is very limited parking at the building itself. The lot west on Eagle St should have spaces. Directions. 1 Turn left when leaving NHC onto Eagle Street. 2 Travel westbound towards Yonge Street. 3 Continue straight past Yonge Street. 4 Turn right into the first parking lot. 5 Walk north on Eagle St to Peavers Crest. 6 Walk east on Peavers Crest to path leading to Administrative Building. 3 Turn right onto Yonge Street and head northbound. 4 Turn left in front of the Administrative Building. 5 Follow around to the north side of the building and park in the lot. 6 Take elevator 1 to the basement. 7 Exit elevator and enter parking garage. 8 Look for security signage and follow to security office. 3839 Computer access from outside the workplace. 1 Open internet browser. 2 Type www.york.ca/services. 3 When accessing on your personal computer, there are links to help explain how to download Citrix based on software. 4 Click on Access your Citrix desktop. 45 Type your York Region username and password, last name and first initial. 6 Click on Apps. If you do not see the app for Ltc Portal after clicking on Apps, you can use the search bar on the top right-hand corner of your screen. 41.7 Questions, contact IT Help Desk between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday, Friday. At 905-830-4444 or toll-free 1-877-464-9675-X71111. Accessing Ltc Portal. 1 Open internet browser. 2 Go to www.york.ca/services. 42.3 Click on Access My Portal. 4 Click York Region Employee. 43.5 Enter your username and password. 6 Once you are on the My Portal page, scroll to the heading Departments and click Community and Health Services. 44.7 On left-hand side, click Paramedic and Seniors Services. 8 Click Seniors Services. 45.9 Click Long-Term Care Homes. 10 This is where you can access an abundance of resources. The page is long, keep scrolling down. 46 Accessing Rosie. Rosie is the region's online self-serve information for employees. It has a record of your personal and payroll information, i.e. address, phone numbers, emergency contacts, benefits summary, training registration and training history. To log into Rosie. 1 Login and access your Citrix desktop, CPG 37 on how to do this. 2 Search apps by typing Rosie into the search bar. 3 Click the Rosie icon. 4 Sign into Rosie using your network username and password. 5. Click Main Menu and select Employee Self-Service from the drop-down box. 6. The following will appear. 47.7. Click the Personal Information icon to view and / or change personal information. If you make changes, always click Save and check off Preferred if applicable. To access payroll information, click the Payroll Information icon to view your most recent paycheck, paycheck history, voluntary deductions, T4 statements of direct deposit information. 8. To access training, click the training icon to register for internal training, view your training history, cancel current course registration and view accomplishments, licenses, registrations, etc. You must 1. Enter course code. 2. Click on Search. The course list will appear on the screen. 48. Main Boss, Maintenance Reporting System. Please note, PSW staff should inform registered staff of any maintenance / housekeeping concerns prior to completing a Main Boss. 1. Once you are logged onto the desktop, double-click the Main Boss icon. 2. Log into Main Boss. The system will automatically default to Newmarket Health Center. Remember to select Maple Health Center if required. 3. To open a new request, click Requests at the top of the screen. This will populate a drop-down menu with 3 options. Select Open Request. 4. This will open the Create a Work Request screen. Enter username, MHC, or NHC password, staff. 49. Complete all areas as appropriate including 1. Requested by, your first name followed by your last. Your name should be in the list. If your name is not in the list, enter it by clicking New Requester. Enter your first and last name, and it will be there the next time you use it. 2. Building, unit. If completing a request at MHC, make sure you enter MHC. It is defaulted to NHC. 3. Work category. 4. Text box including additional information. 5. Access. 6. Priority. Please note, all emergencies must be reported to registered staff and they will call maintenance to inform them of this emergency. Registered staff will also complete a Main Boss request and enter the priority as emergency. 7. Select Save. Enter comments / details here in this field. ABFHGEDC 50. Policy Manager, for long-term care policies and procedures. 51. Scent-free workplace. Scented products can aggravate health problems for some people, especially those with asthma, allergies, and other medical conditions. Your cooperation in avoiding the use of perfume, scented hairspray, cologne, scented deodorant, aftershave, or other scented products would be appreciated. 52. Dress code policy, corporate status. Final Council approved and / a CAO approved. Y title, Corporate Dress Guidelines Edox No. 49321. Original approval date, October 3, 2003. Policy last updated, October 4, 2004. Policy Statement. The Regional Municipality of York believes that it is important to present a professional image that is compatible with the community with which we interact. Application, to all employees of the Regional Municipality of York. Purpose, this guideline outlines acceptable attire at the workplace and while on York Region business. Definitions, business casual dress, clean, neat, professional clothing that is less formal than formal business dress but more formal than casual Friday. Formal business dress, clean neat, professional clothing that is more formal than business casual attire. It generally refers to suits for both men and women, but other alternatives may also be acceptable. Description. Employees are expected to wear clothing that is appropriate for their particular workplace, work schedule and for the nature of the duties they are required to perform. Managers may use their discretion in determining the dress code and footwear that is suitable for the job demands in their work area. Non-uniformed employees who work in York Region offices may wear business casual dress. Providing formal business dress is worn as their schedule requires, or as their department dictates. Employees representing the region at council or external meetings are expected to dress informal business dress unless alternate protocols have been communicated. Employees who are required to wear uniforms and special footwear by nature of their job, should continue to do so, unless otherwise directed by their manager. Safety should be the primary factor when selecting clothing and footwear for the workplace. Issues regarding inappropriately dressed employees should be directed to and addressed by the employee's manager. 53. The following are examples of items of clothing that are considered acceptable for business casual dress. The guidelines for business casual dress are minimum standards only. More formal business dress is always acceptable. The list includes, but is not limited to the following examples of appropriate business casual dress. Male's dress shirt or sweater with a collar, sweater, with a shirt with a collar underneath jacket and shirt, with or without a tie. Dress pants, includes dress corduroy, cotton pants, and other fabrics, excluding denim. Dress shoes, loafers, lace-up shoes, excluding running shoes, dress boots. Female's blouse, turtleneck, and sweater with or without a jacket. Dress pant, includes dress corduroy, leather, suede, cotton pants, and other fabrics, excluding denim. Dress with or without a jacket. Skirt, includes suede and leather, semi-sheer tops only with appropriate underclothing, i.e. camisole, culottes, skirt. Dress shoes, loafers, lace-up shoes, excluding running shoes, dress sandals, dress boots. Casual Friday. Casual Friday is in support of the United Way. In order to participate, employees must contribute a minimum amount of $1 per week through payroll deductions or lump sum payment. It is expected that employees who participate in Casual Friday will wear clothing that is clean and neat. Dress must continue to be professional. In addition to business casual dress, the following is a minimum standard for Casual Friday. Minimum standard for Casual Friday: denim jeans, capri pant, blouse, shirt, sweater, running shoes, walking shoes. York Region clothing. As a guide, the following is a list of items of clothing that are not considered acceptable for either business casual dress or Casual Friday. In specific situations, managers may use their discretion to allow an item of clothing contained on this list. The list includes, but is not limited to the following: not acceptable anytime, unless specifically approved by manager. Hats, caps, or head coverings are inappropriate except for safety, religious, cultural, or medical reasons. Torn, wrinkled, unclean or poorly fitting clothing: overalls, shorts, muscle shirt, sweat/track/jogging pants, spandex, stirrup pants, leggings, halter top, spaghetti strap or strapless dress. 54. Vinyl clothing: bare midriff, exposed chest, flip-flop, sandals, slippers, bare feet, winter boots. Worn inside clothing with political, obscene, or other inappropriate statements. Responsibilities: manager. Communicate the accepted standards of dress. Ensure that appropriate clothing and equipment is worn by employees during the performance of their duties. Ensure that a professional business environment is maintained by addressing issues relating to employees who are not dressed appropriately. This can be accomplished by providing feedback to employees regarding appropriateness of dress and footwear, providing coaching/counseling in cases where employees are not dressed appropriately, initiating progressive discipline where coaching/counseling is not successful. Ensure that all employees who are dressed casually on Friday are displaying a sticker indicating their contribution to the United Way. Consult with Human Resource Services if unsure of the application of this guideline. Employees wear clothing that is appropriate for the type of work performed. Take their day's schedule into consideration when deciding how to dress. Exercise good judgment when choosing business casual dress and clothing on Casual Friday to ensure that a professional atmosphere is maintained at all times. Maintain good habits of grooming and personal hygiene. Wear proper protective clothing and footwear when required. Consult with your manager if unsure about what constitutes proper dress. Contribute annually to the United Way. a minimum amount of $1 per week through payroll deduction or lump sum payment, if participating in Casual Friday. Contact: Human Resources Consultant, Corporate Services Department. Approval information. CAO approval date, October 3, 2003. 55 Dress Code Policy, Long-Term Care. 5657. 58 Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Policy. Status, Final. Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Policy. Approved by Chief Administrative Officer. Approved on January 13, 2021. Last reviewed January 13, 2021. Policy Statement. York Region is committed to providing a work environment that is free from discrimination and harassment of any kind. This policy includes definitions and standards for appropriate conduct and is supported by the Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Process Guide. Application. This policy applies to all regional employees, volunteers, students, contractors, and consultants of York Region, workers. It applies to any location where any worker is engaged in business-related activities with York Region. This policy also applies to situations in the workplace, where workers are in contact with individuals who are not employees of the organization, such as clients, customers, suppliers, members of the public, and visitors to York Region properties. In addition to this policy, York Region's Preventing and Managing Violence in the Workplace policy promotes a violence-free workplace. Purpose. York Region is committed to providing and maintaining a working environment that is based on respect for the dignity and rights of everyone in the organization, and meeting its obligations under the Ontario 59 Human Rights Code, the Ontario Occupational Health and Safety Act and the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, 2005. It is York Region's goal to provide a healthy, safe, inclusive, and respectful work environment that is free of any form of harassment or discrimination. Although some behaviors may not meet the definition of harassment prescribed by this policy, they may still be unacceptable from a workplace perspective and may contravene the region's code of conduct policy and therefore be subject to corrective and/or disciplinary measures. Definitions: complainant, the person alleging a breach of this policy and who initiates a complaint of harassment or discrimination. Discrimination, according to the Ontario Human Rights Code, is any practice or behavior, whether intentional or not, that has a negative effect on an individual or group because of personal characteristics or circumstances unrelated to the person's abilities or employment. Discrimination may arise as a result of direct differential treatment, or it may result from the unequal effect of treating individuals and groups in the same way. While this policy is not limited to the grounds outlined in the code, it does incorporate all of these prohibited grounds. The code states that every person has a right to equal treatment in employment without being discriminated against based on the following prohibited grounds, as amended from time to time or as recognized by case law. 1. Age. 2. Ancestry, color, race. 3. Citizenship. 4. Ethnic origin. 5. Place of origin. 6. Creed. 7. Disability. 8. Family status. 9. Marital status, including single status. 10. Gender identity, gender expression. 11. Record of offenses, for which a pardon has been granted under the Criminal Records Act. Canada. 12. Sex, including pregnancy and breastfeeding. 13. Sexual orientation. Discriminatory harassment. Discriminatory harassment includes comments or conduct based on the prohibited grounds in the code, which the recipient does not welcome or that offends them. Some examples of discriminatory harassment may include offensive comments, jokes or behavior that disparage or ridicule a person's membership or perceived membership in one of the prohibited grounds, such as race, religion, or sexual orientation. 60. Imitating a person's accent, speech, or mannerisms. Inappropriate comments or jokes about an individual's age, sexual orientation, or personal appearance. Employee, a person hired by the employer for a position, either union or non-union, who performs work for wages. Worker, workers include all York Region employees, including temporary and casual employees, managers, supervisors, and students, and all contractors, consultants, and volunteers engaged in York Region business. Where the WHD policy or process guide applies only to employees, the term employee s is used. Poisoned work environment. A poisoned environment is a workplace that is hostile or unwelcoming because of comments, conduct or surroundings that tend to ridicule or demean a group covered by a prohibited ground in the code, even if not directed at a specific individual. The existence of a poisoned work environment is a form of discrimination. A poisoned work environment cannot, however, be based only on the individual's personal views. There should be objective facts to show that the comments or conduct result in unequal or unfair terms and conditions and an infringement of the code. Except for particularly egregious standalone incidents, a workplace becomes poisoned only with repeated incidents of serious wrongful behavior sufficient to create a hostile or intolerable work environment as assessed from the perspective of an objective reasonable bystander. Reprisal, retaliatory measures against a worker because the worker has sought advice about making a complaint, made a complaint in good faith, cooperated in an investigation of a complaint, or declined to participate in behavior that would breach this policy. Respondent, the person who is alleged to have breached this policy and about whom a complaint of harassment or discrimination has been made. Workplace. The workplace includes all locations where business or social activities of the region are conducted, including any land, premises, location, or thing at, upon, in or near which a worker works. Workplace harassment and bullying. Workplace harassment is a health and safety issue that is covered under the Occupational Health and Safety Act. The Occupational Health and Safety Act defines workplace harassment as engaging in a course of vexatious comment or conduct against a worker in a workplace that is known or ought reasonably to be known to be unwelcome. Workplace harassment includes workplace sexual harassment. Workplace harassment may have some or all of the following components. It is generally repetitive, although a serious incident may constitute workplace harassment if it undermines the recipient's psychological or physical integrity and has a lasting harmful effect. It is hostile, abusive, or inappropriate. 61. It affects the person's dignity or psychological integrity. In addition, behavior that intimidates, isolates, or discriminates against the recipient may also be included. Some examples of workplace harassment are verbally abusive behavior such as yelling, insults, ridicule and name-calling, including remarks, jokes or innuendos that demean, ridicule, intimidate or offend. Workplace pranks, vandalism, or bullying. Gossiping or spreading rumors, regardless of whether they are malicious. Excluding or ignoring someone, including persistent exclusion of a particular person from workplace-related social gatherings. Humiliating someone. Offensive or intimidating phone calls or emails. Making false allegations about someone in memos or other work-related documents or social media. Workplace sexual harassment. Sexual harassment includes conduct or comments of a sexual nature that the recipient does not welcome or that offend them. It also includes negative or inappropriate conduct or comments that are not necessarily sexual in nature, but which are directed at an individual because of their gender. Comments or conduct of a sexual nature that are based on gender or sex that are not necessarily directed at a particular individual but are unwelcome or offensive to an individual or group can also constitute sexual harassment. The Occupational Health and Safety Act defines workplace sexual harassment as engaging in a course of vexatious comment or conduct against a worker in a workplace because of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, where the course of comment or conduct is known or ought reasonably to be known to be unwelcome, or 2. Making a sexual solicitation or advance where the person making the solicitation or advance is in a position to confer, grant or deny a benefit or advancement to the worker and the person knows or ought reasonably to know that the solicitation or advance is unwelcome. The Code provides for protection from sexual harassment in employment as follows. Every person who is an employee has a right to freedom from harassment in the workplace. Because of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression by their employer or agent of the employer or by another employee. Every person has a right to be free from a sexual solicitation or advance made by a person in a position to confer, grant or deny a benefit or advancement to the person where the person making the solicitation or advance knows or ought reasonably to know that it is unwelcome, or a reprisal or a threat of reprisal for the rejection of a sexual solicitation or advance where the reprisal is made or threatened by a person in a position to confer, grant or deny a benefit or advancement to the person. 62. Anyone can be the subject of sexual harassment, regardless of their gender. Some examples of sexual harassment are sexual advances or demands that the recipient does not welcome or want, threats, punishment, or denial of a benefit for refusing a sexual advance, offering a benefit in exchange for a sexual favor, leering, persistent inappropriate staring, displaying sexually offensive material such as posters, pictures, calendars, cartoons, screensavers, pornographic or erotic websites or other electronic material, distributing sexually explicit email messages or attachments such as pictures or video files, sexually suggestive or obscene comments or gestures, persistent, unwanted attention after a consensual relationship ends, physical contact of a sexual nature, such as touching or caressing, sexual assault, gossip or rumors regarding a person's sexual activities or relationships, use of homophobic or transphobic slurs or jokes, bragging about sexual prowess, or discussions about sexual activities, behavior that promotes and/or reinforces traditional heterosexual gender norms, intrusive comments, questions, or insults about a person's body, physical characteristics, gender-related medical procedures, clothing, mannerism, or other forms of gender expression. Refusing to refer to a person by their self-identified name and personal proper pronoun. Description. This policy, including responsibilities and procedures described in the Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Process Guide, provides an overview of the region's program to support a respectful and inclusive workplace and respond to incidents of harassment and discrimination in a timely manner. All workers are expected to conduct themselves in a manner consistent with this policy, including compliance with the Code and Occupational Health and Safety Act. York Region will not tolerate, ignore, or condone any form of harassment or discrimination. While engaged in region work, during work hours and at work-related events, all workers are responsible for respecting the dignity and rights of their colleagues and the public they serve. This includes, but is not limited to, the workplace. 63. During work-related travel, e.g. in private or region-owned vehicles, public transportation, taxis, trains, etc. At restaurants, hotels, or meeting facilities that are being used for business purposes in company-owned or leased facilities during telephone, email, virtual meetings, or other communications, and at any work-related social event, whether or not it is company-sponsored. This policy may also apply to incidents that happen away from the workplace, example inappropriate social media posts, phone calls, emails, or visits to a coworker's home, where the prohibited behavior may have an impact on the work relationship, the work environment or worker performance. The test of harassment. The test of harassment will include whether the individual knew or should have known that the comments or conduct were unwelcome to the other person. For example, someone may make it clear through their conduct or body language that the behavior is unwelcome, in which case the individual must immediately stop that behavior. It does not matter whether a person intended to offend someone. The alleged harasser does not necessarily have to have power or authority over the other person. Harassment can occur from worker to worker, supervisor to worker, supervisor to supervisor, and worker to supervisor. What is not harassment? The Occupational Health and Safety Act states, a reasonable action taken by an employer or supervisor relating to the management and direction of workers or the workplace is not workplace harassment. Workplace harassment should not be confused with legitimate, reasonable management actions that are part of the normal work function, including but not limited to measures to correct performance deficiencies, such as placing someone on a performance improvement plan, imposing discipline for workplace infractions, requesting medical documents in support of an absence from work, or conditions in the workplace that generate stress, example technological change, impending layoff, a new boss, workload. Workplace harassment also does not include workplace conflict that may occur between individuals or differences of opinion between workers. Duty to investigate. 64. To protect a worker from workplace harassment, the region shall ensure that an investigation, that is appropriate in the circumstances, is conducted into incidents and complaints of workplace harassment. Confidentiality. Information obtained about a complaint or incident of workplace harassment, including identifying information about any individuals involved, will not be disclosed unless disclosure is necessary to protect workers, to investigate the complaint or incident, to take corrective action, or otherwise as required by law. Records pertaining to an investigation will be retained by the Human Resources Branch in accordance with the region's document retention policies. Any record of discipline which occurs as a result of an investigation will be included in the employee's file and will be retained according to any applicable collective agreement or policy. For interviews that take place on virtual platforms, all participants will be required to be in a location that ensures confidentiality. Participants will be required to have their web camera on and will be asked to confirm they are not recording the interview. Reprisal. Workers will not be penalized or disciplined for reporting an incident in good faith or for participating in an investigation involving workplace harassment or discrimination. Retaliation against anyone involved in a complaint or investigation will be considered a serious violation of this policy and will not be tolerated. Responsibilities. All workers must ensure their behaviors do not violate this policy and that they foster a work environment that is respectful, inclusive, and free of harassment and discrimination. This includes responsibility to report to their supervisor, or any other supervisor or member of management or the Human Resources Branch, the existence of any workplace harassment, discrimination, or poisoned work environment. Review the York Region's workplace harassment and discrimination process guide for further details regarding reporting requirements. Complete appropriate mandatory training as required by legislation and/or the organization. Supervisors and Management. Supervisors and members of management are expected to ensure a harassment-free workplace and to immediately contact the Human Resources Branch if they become aware of an incident or complaint of workplace harassment or witness harassing behavior, at any York Region workplace. This includes making everyone in the organization aware of what behavior is and is not appropriate, investigating complaints, and imposing suitable corrective actions. Management staff have a responsibility to 65. Take all reasonable steps to prevent the development, escalation, or recurrence of harassment and discrimination. Ensure that the policy is communicated and understood by all staff and that it is supported and encouraged. Complete the legislated training and ensure appropriate training compliance by all workers. Assist workers who feel they have been harassed or discriminated against and, as a result, come forward with a complaint. Human Resources Branch. Human Resources staff play a key role in promoting a respectful, inclusive, and harassment-free workplace. They are impartial and are available to provide assistance to any worker in resolving issues of harassment and discrimination. This includes responsibility to be cognizant of potential barriers in employment policies and practices that may systemically affect employees or workers protected under the Ontario Human Rights Code and/or the Accessibility of Ontarians with Disabilities Act. Ensure advice provided regarding allegations of harassment/discrimination is consistent with this policy and the process guide support management in addressing accommodation, harassment, and discrimination issues, including advising on investigations/actions that would be appropriate in the circumstances and who would be considered an impartial investigator. Ensure when formal investigations are conducted that recommendations are fair and timely in accordance with the Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Process Guide. Act as a neutral source of information and advice for all workers and advise and assist management throughout the process. Provide training to further the understanding of the policy and issues of harassment and human rights, in general. Maintain confidentiality to the extent possible and appropriate under the particular circumstances. Review this policy annually and make recommendations for updates/changes to the senior management team as required. Compliance. Violations of this policy by employees may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. Violations of this policy by other workers will result in appropriate action, as determined by York Region. 66 Reference. Ontario Human Rights Code, RSO 1990. Occupational Health and Safety Act, RSO 1990. C.0.1. ONA, CUPE 905, York Region Unit, CUPE 905, Long-Term Care Unit, Collective Agreements. Code of Conduct Policy. Preventing and Managing Violence in the Workplace. Workplace Harassment and Discrimination Process Guide. Contact HR Consultant or Labor/Employee Relations Specialist, Human Resources Branch, Corporate Services Department. Approval. CAO Signature, original signed by Bruce McGregor. Date approved, January 13, 2021. Accessible formats or communication supports are available upon request. Number 6,983,229. 67 Cronus. Please reach out to Lori Guyot, Scheduling Systems Specialist, regarding any questions with Cronus. lori.guyot@york.ca. 1-877-464-9675 EXT 77737. 68 Surge. Surge Elearning is a learning platform used by the Regional Municipality of York. Surge is where you complete your self-directed online learning sessions. When you log into Surge Elearning, you will see a list of required courses you are to take both prior to beginning your first shift, and within 7 days of your orientation. Please see your orientation agenda, page 3, for the list of courses. How to log into Surge Elearning. 1. Open your internet browser, preferably Google Chrome. 2. Enter www.google.ca and search Surge Elearning login in Google search bar. 3. Click this web page. 4. Using the options below, please determine your Surge Elearning username. Option number 1, if you are a new employee or volunteer, determine your username using the first example below. Please enter your version to the site code.username box. 69. If the first example does not work, please try the exceptions option, shown below. Option 2, if you are an agency staff member, please determine your login using the example below. Once you have done so, please enter this in the site code.username box. Option 3, if you are redeployed/other staff, previously hired by the Municipality of York Region, please log in using the Sign In with Microsoft button and enter your York Region credentials. 70 Passwords. Please note that all passwords are York 123. 71 How to take a course in Surge, Pleasurable Dining example. 1. Click on a course that you are required to complete. These can be found under the heading My Courses on the Surge homepage. In this example it is Pleasurable Dining. 2. Click on Take Course. 3. This screen will appear. Please watch the course in full. 72.4. Once you have finished, please click I have completed the course in the top right corner of the screen. 5. This screen will pop up. Click the first option if you have no questions and click on Submit. If you do have questions, click the second option and type your question in the text box that appears. 6. You will be brought back to the course page. Please ensure you take the test if there is one attached to the course. You will know if there is a test if you can see this icon. 7. Take the test to ensure your records show you have completed the whole course. If there is a test and you do not take it, the course will show as incomplete. 73. How to search for courses in Surge, if needed. When you log into your Surge e-learning profile, you can click on My Courses to view which courses you are required to complete. These courses can be found on page 3 of your agenda. This document was sent to you the day of your LTC virtual orientation session. If for any reason you do not see the courses you are required to take in your Surge My Courses page, please go through the following steps. 1. Log into your Surge e-learning profile. 2. Click on Courses Library. 3. Use the search bar to enter the course title. For this example, we will use the Pleasurable Dining course. Click Go. 4. You may see a few courses. Please make sure you are taking the correct course by looking at the approximate time it takes to complete the module. For example, according to your agenda, the Pleasurable Dining course will take 16 minutes. 74.5. Name of course and approximate time to complete, match the one shown in the agenda. Checking your course completion. 1. Log into Surge e-learning. 75.2. Click on My Courses. 3. Click My Course History. 4. A page with all courses completed will come up. 77. Appendix B. Additional documents. Forms. Sign and return to Seniors Services Education. Confidentiality Agreement Contact Information Consent Form. MHC Access Codes Consent Form. NHC Access Codes Consent Form Undertaking Employees LTC. Reference Packages Computer Network User Guide. Additional references. The following programs are implemented in our homes and can be found in the Policy and Procedure Manual or in the Quick Reference Guide. Falls Prevention Program, Skin and Wound Care Program, Pain Management Program, Continence Care and Bowel Management Program, Least Restraint Program. Note: quick reference guides can be found at each nursing station. Our policies and procedures are available in hard copy at each unit for your reference. 78. Appendix C. Client Complaint Form. 79. Appendix D. Answers. Answers to Infection Prevention and Control Knowledge Check. 1. True, all 6 links are required to spread infection. We have opportunities at each link to stop it. 2. False, it is the lathering action of the soap that cleans hands. Overuse of antibacterial soap can lead to bacterial resistance. 3. False, hand sanitizers should be used on hands that are not visibly dirty. 4. False, hand sanitizers should be between 70 and 90% to be effective. 5. True, jewelry can trap bacteria, making it difficult to remove. 6. False, the correct method to remove gloves is glove to glove, skin to skin. 7. False, you must always perform hand hygiene after removing gloves. 8. True, you must have clean surface before disinfecting. Answers to minimizing restraints knowledge check. 1. Resident B has bed rails to allow him to watch TV safely without falling out of bed, therefore bed rails are considered a PSD2. Resident C has bed rails in place to prevent her from getting out of bed unassisted, therefore bed rails are considered a Restraint 3. Resident A is cognitively impaired, has difficulty standing and walking and is at risk of falling. She currently has a lap belt that she is unable to undo, so she is unable to rise from her wheelchair. Because the effect of the lap belt is to restrict her movement and keep her from getting out of the wheelchair unassisted, it is considered a Restraint 4. Resident B is not cognitively impaired but is immobile. He can undo a lap belt. He uses a lap belt to assist with positioning when he is in the wheelchair. This would be considered a device. Answers to fire safety knowledge check. All answers are true.